Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
The Ramble with Alex Bennett, tonight at 10:30 Eastern on GabNet.
In 2013, after 9 years, Alex Bennett got let go by SiriusXM satellite radio for reasons yet to be known. Was it his salary? Was it his advancing years? Or did he just suck? The truth will never be known. Last year, SiriusXM, knowing that their old and rusting satellites were yesterday's technology, bought into the internet by taking over the streaming service Pandora. Well, we suppose that Alex has finally snuck his way back into the SiriusXM orbit, presenting Alex Bennett's Ramble on Pandora. Get Pandora and get Alex, but don't tell SiriusXM. If they know he's there, they might dump him again. The Ramble from GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Jack Bishop's Intersection, tonight at midnight Eastern on GabNet.
What happens when you combine the largest broadcaster in America with a puny, insignificant podcaster? You get the huge platform of iHeartRadio and Alex Bennett's Ramble. Yes, now the Ramble is being carried on iHeartRadio as one of thousands of podcasts they make available. Now the big question is, how do we navigate this clutter? The answer is you. Go to iHeartRadio.com, then to their podcast section and search for Alex Bennett's Ramble. Once you've found it, make it a favorite. If enough of you do it, we could make that 15-year-old girl with her makeup tips step aside for the new king of podcasting. Okay, who am I kidding? She's about 2 million subscribers ahead of us, but it will help to put us on the map. The Ramble and iHeartRadio. Proof that Alex isn't good enough to be on one of their radio stations, but they are desperate enough to feature the Alex Bennett's Ramble podcast. A match made in broadcasting heaven. The Ramble from GabNet. Talk like iHeart and you have never heard before.
Spotify has 180 million monthly users and access to 35 million songs and podcasts. Now, all those offerings are going to have to move over and make room for GabNet programming. Yes, at long last, Alex Bennett's Ramble, Damian Chaplin's Exchange, Jack Bishop's The Intersection, and even the franchise MC's Arena and Michael Snyder's weekly movie reviews will be fighting for space on this massive platform. Each day, the programs are updated, so you can hear them on the Spotify app, available for all smartphones and game consoles. Or you can just go to Spotify on the web at spotify.com. So, give us a shot on Spotify. There's a 35 million to 5 chance we'll get people to listen to talk like they've never heard it before.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19.
Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this podcast.
Now more than ever, it's a breeze to listen to all that GabNet has to offer. Just go to gabnet.net, and along the top of our easy-to-use webpage are a series of links to all the services that carry our latest offerings. Click on YouTube, Facebook, and Vimeo, and you'll be taken to video of Alex Bennett's Ramble. Tap on TuneIn, and you'll go to our 24/7 feed of all our programs, plus a real-time stream when our shows are live. For those of you who have a Roku device, click and you'll be taken to a page that will install our GabNet app, so you can enjoy our channel, which is rich with features that go well beyond our daily programs. Then, for archives of all our recent shows, press the Spotify, Pandora, or Stitcher tabs. Finally, Alex Bennett can be heard via the iHeart button. But if you're not at your computer, just download the app for any of these services and you'll find us there. Mobile, Of course, all GabNet shows are on iTunes. With all these options, you have no excuse not to listen to GabNet, unless you'd rather listen to one of those millions of other people who have podcasts. In which case, you can blow me.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey everybody, there it says in white, the Ramble, and in red, it's me. I'm Alex. Cut to Alex, there we go. Okay, hello everybody, how are you? Good evening. Well, but good afternoon. It's time for me to quit this business. What the hell? I am just all screwed up in one way or another. Listen, today was quite a day news-wise, and we felt that we had to kind of change our format a little bit and bring somebody back that we usually have on Tuesday nights, and we had on, let's see here, we had him on last night, if I'm not mistaken, and here again is Phil Meyer. And I brought him in because, he has a slightly altering opinion of things, and I want to be fair, at least at the beginning of the show, because the rest of it will be taken up by probably a bunch of people who are anti-Trumpers. First of all, Phil, I want to ask you, and we're going to make this a very civil conversation, because when Phil and I do it together, we're always very civil, right, Phil?
I thought I was civil when we weren't doing it together.
No.
Those others that.
How would you describe today?
Welcome to 2021.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was everybody went, once 2020 is gone, all the madness is going away. 2021 is going to be a great year. We sure started it out great, didn't we?
Yeah. It's great again. Now, what do I think of what happened today? I think it's deplorable.
Good.
I think it's awful.
Yeah.
I think that it ruined something. It ruined a right for over 100,000 people to have maybe 1,000 bad apples, anarchists, troublemakers, defile my house, defile where I was so looking forward to having Congress talk about the issues that they felt should be addressed. Now, nobody is saying that Biden's not going to get confirmed. What the 12 senators, now 11, because I think Loeffler pulled out of the deal.
Yeah, Loeffler pulled out.
These senators are bringing up something that I think will help the country heal. There's 75 million Americans that voted for Trump. And of the Republicans, 83% of them don't feel that the election was a fair election and that it was true and honest.
Yeah, but I have to. Can I just jump in here? While you said something, and I'll forget it later on because I'm an old man.
I understand.
It doesn't matter what the other voters felt about things, about how it should have turned out. Obviously, they wanted it to turn out another way. But the fact is, it went a certain way. And now let's just go through the process of being the civil.
Exactly. Exactly. But in Congress today, we had an opportunity to have congressmen on the questionable states voice their objection and put forth what they felt happened. And I, for one, would have been happy with an audit of the process, because I think that there were a lot of problems with our elections in 2016 and several before them. We've had a number of elections. They say that the Nixon election, 69, was it? That there was fraud in that one that helped Nixon get elected. And I think that he would have probably gotten elected.
Well, we can go back to Kennedy. I mean, there was fraud in Chicago.
Right.
That got him elected.
Now, so what's happened is that you have a number of people. It's not a matter of that the election didn't turn out the way they wanted to. Trump lost, the other guy won. But if there was some shenanigans, and they claim there was some shenanigans, I want it investigated.
Okay, but it has been investigated. There have been any number of suits brought against the various states and countless judges have said there's no case here. Okay, wait a minute. 80, I think it's, 62 cases. Okay, so it's been pretty well over the last how many months. It's been mulled over and counts and recounts. I think Georgia did like 3 recounts, if I'm not mistaken.
This is the last place that Trump and his supporters, including me, can voice and ask for an appeal. Once this is done, there's nowhere else to go.
Let me ask you. Do you feel that the election was rigged?
In some ways, yeah.
No, in enough ways that there would have been a different turnout.
Yes. I felt that the mail-in voting, the way the votes were counted, a number of things that they discovered, trucks that were trucked in from New York to Pennsylvania.
Where did you hear all that?
Well, yeah, of course. But
yeah, what I'm saying is we're going to listen to the information we want. All I'm saying is this thing has been in one court after another, being adjudicated. States have been. He went to the Supreme Court and they laughed him out of the Supreme Court.
He didn't have standing. Just because you don't have standing doesn't mean you're not right.
Well, what do you mean standing?
Well, when he contested those elections, the Supreme Court, I believe, said that he couldn't bring up the state issues. So he didn't have standing in order to bring them up. So these things.
No, in one case, they said there was just no case here. There was nothing for them to take up.
I understand. The questions have not been answered.
Yeah,
and there obviously are some frustrated people out there, frustrated enough that they call themselves patriots, but they violated the patriotic process.
But let me ask you this. Okay, let's get direct to the main question here. Here is a president who today intimated to his audience, and I heard him say it, that they should go down Fifth Avenue to the Capitol, and he incited them. He incited them.
They incited him. I heard him say, "Go home, be peaceful."
No, that was later on. He did a tweet. This was when all the world was falling down around his neck. Prior to that, the speech he gave between he and Giuliani was a very aggressive speech about taking action and going and taking the Capitol and doing this and doing that. And then he left them. He went back to the White House while they went off, and one of them got shot dead.
That was an interesting thing too. A lot of them were peaceful. There was hundreds, thousands of people out there.
I'm going to say that I'll give you that the vast majority of them probably were peaceful, but the ones that weren't were quite a huge bunch. Okay, as you say, 1,000, maybe a couple of thousand, and they invaded the Capitol. They trashed it. You know, it was disgusting, and it was on a day when, okay, you wanted that peaceful process to take place, where the guys like what's his name, Josh Hawley, could say, okay, I think it was rigged, and I think we should look into it and all of that. But what they did, they even subverted that.
That's right. Okay, and I feel ripped off for that, but. You know, I didn't feel that the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter, when they were burning cities.
There is no Antifa, Phil.
Yeah, that's what you say.
It doesn't exist, and I'm the leader.
Yeah, you look like one. So, you got one of those black masks, right? You know,
yeah, right.
So anyway. uh, I didn't condone that. I believe in free speech. I believe in your First Amendment rights
Right.
to
And
voice.
listen, I'm the first one to say you should have the ability to protest. I mean, I'm not one to complain about these people today in general, because in my time I was out demonstrating in Chicago when we got tear gas. Now, we weren't rioting, but they created a riot by the tear gas and the way in which the police reacted. It was a police riot that turned into a people riot.
I got to ask you this.
Yeah.
You got tear gas. Weren't you picking up dry cleaning for some girl across the street?
No. There was a woman. I remember seeing this. There was a woman across the street in a convertible. Okay. This is across from the park. I'm trying to remember the name of the park now. And she was sitting in a convertible while her boyfriend was going in to get his dry cleaning. And all of a sudden, here come the cops, and they tell her, move the car, get out of here, and she couldn't because she didn't have the keys. He had the keys, I guess, and they started beating her because she wouldn't move, and she was just waiting for her dry cleaning.
Yeah.
Okay? But all I'm saying is that I've been in demonstrations, one in Washington, for instance, which kind of turned into a melee. But in those days, what were we protesting against? What we were protesting against was people dying in Vietnam, okay? People being unceremoniously drafted to go over to a place where they were getting killed in rather large numbers. And so we felt we had to put ourselves, put ourselves in the wheel, stop the gears of progress of that thing and hold demonstrations and be very vocal about it. But this isn't what this was about. What this was about was one man's ego. Okay, wanting to prevail.
Disagree. What this was about was 83% of Republicans and 30% of independents feeling that there was something wrong with this election and that the election system has to be looked into.
They were Phil, the only reason they believed there was something wrong with this election is because they were being told there was something wrong with this election by Trump.
I don't believe that what Trump says can influence people to that point, that you have to make a conscious decision that you feel the same way that he feels, not because he's telling you to feel that way.
Phil, I hate to say this because, I know you're a Trump supporter, but the Trump supporters are not that bright. Okay? They're not that bright, and they can be pulled around by a ring in their nose, okay? And the fact of the matter was, the only reason they thought this was a rigged election is because the person who didn't win the thing said it was a rigged election. And so they said, he said it, I believe it. But if he had said, hey, listen, I lost fair and square, good luck to Joe Biden, these people would have just gone off and done something else.
Joe Biden get 80 million votes. He never even
80 million.
Never asked anybody for a vote. He sat in his basement the whole time.
But he got him because I think he got him. I'll tell you, there was part of the reason he won is because I think he ran a pretty good race. I think he made a pretty good case, okay. But secondly, it's because there were a lot of people just voting against Trump. They got tired of the exhaustion of Trump being president.
Well, there was exhaustion, and we'll see what happens now that Georgia has fallen.
Yeah.
And Schumer will be able to support Pelosi's whims and feed it to Biden.
I've always said that I have never been in favor of both houses of Congress being of the same party.
Oh, yeah.
But because it has become so polarized, there used to be a time, as you remember the times when, hey, you didn't know how a certain Republican was going to vote or how a certain Democrat would vote. But now they're all in lockstep. I'm a Republican, I have to vote against this. Right?
Well,
so what became a great thing where, the two Congress had to kind of come to terms with each other. They don't anymore, and nothing gets done.
Well, Sam Rayburn was probably one of the most divisive in his reign. But what's happening is that senators and the Congress people are being held hostage by the leadership because they say, look, if you don't vote with me, you're not going to get any plum deals. But back to this thing that happened today.
Yeah,
I really think that this is a precursor. There aren't that many.
I'm afraid it's a precursor too.
Yes, I think this is going to continue. I also think it's going to get worse. And I think that we have an opportunity to nip this in the bud. And the way to do that is to fully investigate what happened during this election and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Florida had a lot of problems during the Gore Bush. Now they fixed their election.
But you know what you're asking us to do is something which has been investigated. I mean, whether it's been the court cases that have been adjudicated and so on, or just the sheer vote of it all. Okay, let's give him Georgia. Give him. I think you can even give him Pennsylvania, and he still won.
It's not the point. The point is you want to know that your vote counts. And the people are saying
your vote, as long as we have an electoral college, your vote doesn't count. And the reason it doesn't count is your vote is boiled down with a whole bunch of other votes into, like here in New York, I think 79 electoral votes. Well, how does my vote get widowed down? I always felt that the Electoral College was evil.
What Trump supporters believe is that you may have all of those Democratic votes in New York, but if you're suppressing the Republican votes through manipulation of the system, then it doesn't count. I don't care that I live in California and a Republican couldn't get elected to be dog catcher for the most part. I mean, there's a few of them, but the idea is that I want to place my vote and I want to know that it isn't being trumped by a bunch of mail-in ballots that are really
I don't think there's anything wrong with the mail-in ballots. I mean, they work, they are adjudicated well.
God was not the same. When I mail in my ballot, because I mail them in, I have absentee.
Yeah.
It's got a signature on it. It's mine, and I know that it was sent to me, and not specifically. Yeah. It wasn't sent to some dead guy. It was, but this is not the important part. The important thing is that there are angry people out there, and unfortunately, the shoe is on the other foot. I do not support what happened today.
Okay, let me ask you about today.
Yeah,
it has been described not only by Democrats, but by Republicans as well, as an insurrection.
Could have been. Absolutely.
What do, in other countries, when there's an insurrection, what do they do with the conspirators?
The military comes in and puts them down.
Yeah, exactly. Shoots them. Should some of these people, at least who we can say actually broke into the Capitol and so on, should they be put up on charges of insurrection?
I don't know what they should charge them with. I do know that they should be charged, and we have cameras. We just like in the other riots that have been going on, Milwaukee, Seattle, we have cameras, and we should be able to identify these people, and we should prosecute them. Whether they choose to prosecute them for insurrection or not, I'm not an attorney. I don't know the right thing to do. You can charge somebody with something, and you overcharge them, and
there was a woman who got shot to death today.
Yes,
and,
she was.
It was very hard for me to find out until just before we went on the air that she was a 14-year Air Force veteran.
Air Force veteran and a married woman.
Yeah, and very much a Trump supporter.
Right. Now
the question is, who shot her?
Well, now I watch Fox, and according to Hannity, they believe it was one of the police officers. It was law enforcement that shot her, and I'm sure that it was a.
Okay, that's Hannity, and Hannity doesn't know shit. Okay.
Well, he gets information.
Well,
I mean,
he does.
Nope.
I don't think he really knows shit.
Well, he has people in the field, but also I heard it in a number of other places.
Because I was watching Newsmax at one point, and they said 2 people had been killed, had been shot.
I don't know.
You know?
I only heard about the one woman.
Yeah.
I think that what happened was one of the officers' guns negligently discharged. I don't think anyone was aiming at her.
Yeah.
It was a negligent discharge, and in the heat of what was happening, I don't think any of the I've been in riots, and I've been in the police officer part of the riot with stick pushing the crowd.
Yeah, it
back.
was you were the policeman rioting.
No, I was pushing back the rioters.
Yeah.
And I've been in 2 or 3 good sized riots, where rocks and bottles and so anyway, I could see, that with the nightstick, even in if you look at pictures of Kent State and you look at the guys pushing off, nobody had their gun out. Now
Well, let's
see
not go back and adjudicate that, but
right. Well, I saw a picture today of several officers at the Capitol, and they all had their guns drawn, and handguns. There was like 4 or 5 of them.
No, this was inside the either the
inside the rotunda.
Inside the chamber. And
Yes,
they had taken a piece of furniture and put it up against the door, and there were some people who were breaking the door, and they literally had handguns pointing at these people as they were trying to come through.
Yes, well, maybe that's what I saw.
That's what you saw.
But that's not where the gal got shot. And
who knows? We'll find out what happened eventually.
Yeah,
But it's sad that anybody had to die over this. But what they did today, it just so upset me. And I'm a guy who in my time has gone to demonstrations. My first riot was outside the American Embassy in London after Kent State. And I looked out my hotel window, and there were all these people in Grosvenor Square. And I looked over, and I said to somebody, "What's that over there?" And they said, "That's the American Embassy." So I went down, I joined them in the demonstration. And I must say the British handle those things very well. What?
London, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we threw I got to throw rocks at the American Embassy.
Yeah, I was in London a month after they bombed that Hilton in the early 70s.
And that was Paris Hilton, and she was just walking her dog.
She wasn't born yet, but
I think both of us agree that today was pretty much a low point in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am hurt that this happened. I mean, it really struck me that America has gotten to this point, and we're this separated. And it's time we figure this out. And if we have to clean up our elections, I mean, I don't want to have an election that they say it's more legitimate in Afghanistan than it is in.
Well, all I'm saying is that Biden has a big job ahead of him with any number of issues, but one of the biggest issues is trying to bring this country back together.
I don't think he's up to it, and I'll tell you
we'll see.
why. Because whenever he's challenged, he calls people ugly, or he had a bunch of names.
I haven't heard him doing that.
During his rally, I guess some people were weeping orange.
I don't remember that. But anyway, that's all water under the bridge. I hope he's up to it. I think we need somebody who can, do something about it. So,
well, we'll see. It's
Yep.
This is a low day in the United States. It really is. And the last time that anyone had attacked the Capitol was 1954. The Puerto Ricans shot it up, and there's still bullet holes in some of the furniture and on the 3rd floor where Puerto Ricans stormed the Capitol.
But don't forget, the Canadians burned it down. So
the Capitol or the White House?
It was the Capitol.
Oh, well, who burned the White House? The English?
Was it the White House they burned down? I can't remember. I thought. Well, who knows? Who cares? Who cares? Everybody's trying to burn the place down. Anyway, time to remodel. Anyway, thank you, Phil. I just wanted to get your opinion on it so that when we get into our liberal rants here, at least the other side will be heard from. And I thank you. I thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Phil Meyer, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know who that is. And we thank him for doing this because it's good. It's nice. It's wonderful. Well, listen, it's time for me now to start admitting some people, but there are only 2 people there. I'm amazed because I would think there would just be dozens of people who would want to come on tonight and talk about this situation. But all I got right now here is Alan and Charlie Wallace. Okay, there they are. Hello, Alan. Hello, Charlie. How are you?
Hello, Alex. Hello, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. First of all, Charlie, what did you think?
I thought they were a bunch of thugs breaking into the Capitol, and they should all been arrested, if not shot.
Absolutely.
Were you asking yourself, as I think all America was asking themselves, that we knew that this was a rather, what's the word I'm looking for? A day in which this kind of thing could happen. We were fully expecting this. Everybody in America was fully expecting this, except for the D.C. For the Capitol
why weren't
cops.
they ready?
Yeah, why weren't they ready for this?
After what happened in Michigan at the legislature with those armed thugs charging that building, how could they not expect this?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of questions to be answered about what the fuck went on, hello, Scott. How you doing?
Alex?
What are you thinking about this?
Well, I really think that the D.C. police thought that maybe 100 people would show up like a normal Trump rally.
Oh, God. Terrible. How about you, Robert? What was your reaction, your initial reaction to this today?
Please, you need to do an interview with me by myself just to catch up to all the shit I just heard.
Yeah.
I never heard such bullshit in all my life.
Thank you.
Okay, just carve out one
I'll
piece.
give you some brief points. Okay. If the Black Lives Matter demonstrations had broken into the Capitol, how many black people do you figure would be dead right now?
Yep.
Well,
let's start at 50 and work upwards.
Well, I would agree. I don't know if I 100% agree because we live in a time where they'd be a little more careful of what they did. Okay.
Alan, but notice the description. Mm-hmm. George Floyd was killed by all accounts. He was killed. He was murdered. And people protested that. They were called rioters. The people today, in Phil's description, were protesters. Notice how he controlled the messaging. Rioters, protesters.
Well, no, today we were calling them rioters.
On TV, but that isn't what Phil just described.
Yeah.
He talked about them being independently angry people. Notice, too, that Phil at no point pointed to Trump for having stirred up these motherfuckers. At no point. Come on.
Yeah. So, I agree with you, in that respect. But, I mean, what I said was that they were incited by Trump. Yep. I mean, I heard the incitement. I watched the speech, and he's going, okay, now march down Pennsylvania Avenue, and the Capitol's right down there, and go do your stuff. Do what you got to do.
Do it strongly.
Do it strongly. Yeah.
And, for him, to begin with, he should be prosecuted for that.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I mean, he created a riot, and there are people within his own party and Pence who are thinking about invoking the 25th Amendment. They just don't want to even see him have another day in office because they don't think he's capable.
Phil making it seem like it's Congress's job to conduct an investigation is way off base and shows little or no understanding of how the Constitution works.
Right.
We're a federalist system. It's something Republicans hold dear. That means that the states decide how voting takes place. And by the way, this Josh Hawley bastard who's
Yeah.
making objections say that in Pennsylvania, there's no provision for mail-in voting. But lately, he says, there was a quickly passed provision to allow mail-in voting. What he fails to mention is that the public legislature in Pennsylvania is Republican.
Yes.
Well, you know, I mean, even in Georgia, Georgia, you've got a Republican governor, you've got a Republican Secretary of State, and all these people were pretty much telling Trump, nothing we can do about it. I think they counted those ballots 3 times.
3 times at least.
Yes.
You know,
if you want to organize a committee that looks into voting practices, I'm right there with Phil.
I'm the first guy to sign on the dotted line. Yeah.
Yes, but let's also look into voter suppression of blacks. Let's also look into like suddenly cutting down the number of voting places in Houston, Texas. Let's also look into proof of signatures only in the case of those that live in poor areas or heavily Democratic areas. But I want to preface this by saying this is not the time. This is a time to simply pro forma say, here are the votes. This man was elected president. The commission can take place later.
Somebody described this as being like the Academy Awards ceremony in which Pence is the MC and all he has to do is open the envelopes. Yeah, and here's the winner. This particular function used to take, on average, how long do you think it would take when they did it?
Oh, minutes.
30, an hour and a half at the most.
35 minutes, they say, was the longest
minutes.
one. Yeah.
That's including coffee.
Yeah. I mean, this is simply a ceremonial thing. Yes, Ray.
What really gets me is 79 of the congressmen in the House still voted to stop the election in Arizona after all that today. 79 of these people.
Yeah.
How? That's just incredible.
Well, that was then. That may not be now.
No, it is. They did.
That was the vote that just happened.
That was just now.
Oh, just now they did.
Yes.
I guess I'm not watching it. Yeah.
By the way, if I can have the floor just one more minute, I'm the old history teacher here, and it's time for a history lesson.
Okay.
You want to talk about voting practices? Does anyone here know? Does anyone here know why Georgia does the runoff election? You know how in Georgia there's an election and then they pick the top 2 vote getters and then have a runoff election?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't, I can teach you. It was done by Georgia white segregationists, and here's why. Because in Georgia, there were election is 8 candidates, and the white vote would split among the white candidates, but the blacks would coalesce behind the one black candidate. They were scared shitless that the black candidate would win the election by getting something like 18% of the vote, while the other white candidates got like 12, 13, 4, 6, 3. So what they decided was to invent the system where the top 2 vote getters would now have a runoff so that all the white bastards could get together and vote against the black guy.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. You want to have an investigation about voting practices, Phil? Let's start with that.
Alan, you had your hand up.
Excuse me. So I agree with Charlie and I agree with Robert on this. This was not a protest. I've been in riots myself as a police officer, and this was not a protest. This was a riot incited by the President of the United States. And I mean, he can't call it fake news because it's all over the media, you know, and I agree with, I think Robert said that if it was Black Lives Matter that was in there, there would have been a lot more people, if they were black, that were shot, not accidentally. This lady was not shot by an unintentional discharge. I don't buy that. I haven't heard what happened. You guys have told me more than I knew, but people learn when you're pointing a gun at somebody, a pistol, that you keep your finger off the trigger. That's what we're taught until you have a shootable target. And so unintentional discharges usually happen, under stress. Sometimes when a police officer's had to fight somebody, sometimes he shoots himself pulling out of the holster. But I don't buy that this was unintentional. And I got to tell you, I think that the DC police, like Robert said, should have been way more prepared. Yeah, way more. That's
Alan,
my thing.
If you had to shoot somebody, okay, you only have one shot at it usually, right? With a pistol. And where are you going to shoot the person? Right in the heart?
Well, if I have the one shot and they're doing something that endangers my life or the life of somebody else, I'm going to try for a brain shot and end it all. This wounding or whatever. A lot of police officers shoot for center mass. I'm a big guy. I'm not hard to find, but shooting for a head, if you can do that, if it justifies deadly force, you take the person out of the picture as quick as possible.
Well, this lady was shot right here.
Neck.
I can't see where right here
shot in the neck.
Oh, she was shot in the neck.
Shot in the chest.
Okay.
Well, it was like
CNN has been saying in the chest all day.
What?
The CNN has been saying she was shot in the chest.
Shot in the
all
chest.
day she's been saying that.
Yeah,
I saw the picture of her.
I saw the video. It was. Did you see her? She had a big thing in her neck right here.
Yeah.
So Phil could be right.
Yeah.
Doesn't
matter.
It doesn't matter. She's shot. She's dead. In the neck. In the neck, you're gonna bleed out real quick. It's you got the carotid arteries, and it's gonna be a quick death, unfortunately. But and any death is sad, but we don't know what she was doing, do we? That got the officer to shoot her.
I had heard one thing, and I don't know if it's true, that
they were in
there
the
were some
chamber
people
and
trying to go
somebody
over
was breaking in the windows from outside, and a couple guys had their guns drawn ready for that person to try to jump in.
Yeah.
And I think she was close.
Wow.
Just add this to the blood of 350,000+ Americans dead of COVID that could have been prevented, at least
I agree with you. I agree, Robert, 100%.
Throw it on the pile.
I agree 100% with you, Robert.
At least 200,000 of those could have been saved.
Oh, absolutely, Ray.
Oh, yeah.
They ought to arrest Trump when he gets out of office and charge him with crimes against humanities.
There is no bottom to this fucking guy.
We heard the tape that he made with the what's his name from Watergate. With the early on in January, we heard the tape that he knew how bad it was.
Right, right.
Who's going to pardon him now, though? He threw Pence under the bus. Yeah, he threw Pence under the bus. Who's going to pardon him now?
Yeah, that was stupid.
I appreciate what you just said there, Brian. It says that you love me and I'm very special on your. I love that.
Trump said that today to his people. So I
did.
I wanted to spread the love.
That's why Twitter deleted.
We call them patriots.
Yeah.
Twitter deleted
it. After they broke into the Capitol,
well, you did
patriots.
hear that after today, both Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook have canceled Donald Trump's accounts.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
And they deleted the two insightful tweets pretty quickly, like within an hour.
Ivanka's.
Yeah.
Ivanka said that they should stop this right away, and she deleted her own.
Yeah.
Really?
But what his son is saying now, it's the party of Trump. It's no longer the Republican Party.
Oh, jeez.
That's funny. The Republicans
Donald
think
Jr.
different.
is saying that.
And you know what's saddest to me of all is that it's all this is caused by the fact that this man is so psychologically damaged that he can't reckon with the words "I lost."
Yeah.
Think about it. It really comes down to that.
It would psychologically devastate him.
He's
what's
psychologically so insecure that he can't reckon with the words "I lost."
It's like daddy's in the room.
I've said
What's
this.
even sadder is that he's psychologically damaged, and he's psychologically damaging even more psychologically damaged people.
Yes, Kevin.
Because he has psychologically brainwashed a lot of people that are psychologically damaged and that are psychologically dangerous right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
Kevin.
And that's what Romney said. Romney said today happened due to a selfish man's injured pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a great speech, by the way, that Romney gave.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
And he
You know,
was
I'm
right.
tired of all these Republicans up there all of a sudden turning the other cheek.
Well,
saying,
I got to tell you.
oh no, he's a bad guy.
I got to
That's
tell
a
you,
bunch of
Romney.
bullshit. I'm sorry.
Romney
This
threw
is
Lindsey
why I don't
Graham.
attach
Hold on a
myself to
second.
party.
Romney.
That's
Romney,
why I'm an independent.
Romney
because
through
I don't
all of
attach
this.
myself to these fuckers.
Romney, through all of this, has been, I think, fairly righteous. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there are times he's sided with Trump and so on, sided with the Republicans, like he did with the appointment of the Supreme Court justice. But nevertheless, I mean, he has been upset by this. I mean, he's a righteous Mormon. You know, he doesn't like dishonesty, and he doesn't like corruption, and he doesn't like the fact, I imagine, that Donald Trump cheats on his wives. You know.
But he has wives. in
But-
his
but-
apartment, so that's good.
Actually,
They ain't cheating if you got 8 of them.
I
Well, he
don't
doesn't
think
got
I don't
pussy, he's
think
got pussy,
the
so-
Mormon Church does not allow polygamy any longer.
Not officially.
No.
No.
Not,
Officially, yeah.
not officially.
Right.
Yes, Charlie.
Yeah, Romney also said something else that's very true that all of these Republicans in the Senate and House are ignoring, and that is the fact it doesn't matter if you have this stupid commission because they aren't going to believe what the commission says unless they said that the election was stolen.
That's right. They ain't going to believe it anyway.
Yeah, they'll come out after 10 days or 2 weeks or 10 years and say the election was not stolen, it was above board, and they won't believe it.
Well, Lindsey
commission was
Graham
rigged.
pointed that out. Lindsey Graham said that tonight. He was right, even though he's a
Another
complete
turncoat,
asshole.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Another
totally right
turncoat.
when he did say that.
And tonight, for the first time, I mean, I actually heard a speech by Mitch McTurtle, where I said, "Good for you, Mitch. That's okay. You know, that's fine. But it's a little late, isn't it, Mitch? You should have been saying this weeks
Yeah.
ago, months
Well,
ago,
good.
years ago." Yes, Alan.
So if they're talking about invoking the 25th Amendment, if they invoke the 25th Amendment and it holds, can Trump run again in 2024? I don't know.
Yeah, I believe he can.
They have
Yeah,
to
I think
impeach
you
him.
can.
They have
Because
to,
have
what
to
they can
impeach
say
him
is the
for not
only
to
what
give him
all the 25th Amendment says, if the president should become incapacitated,
Yeah.
whether it's mentally or physically or
Could
anything,
have a heart attack.
yeah, they can invoke the
right. I
25th
understand.
Amendment.
The
Now let's say
conventional-
he gets a heart attack, okay, and they have to invoke the 25th Amendment. And so now he's out of office, and because the new president's coming in, he's not going to be president any longer. By the time he runs again, he may not have the heart problem any longer, or it's being taken care of.
Okay,
So
I get it.
if you get him out of office because he is not mentally competent to be president now, that doesn't mean that he didn't go to several shrinks in the meantime and can run again.
But he's got to get a shrink to get him out right now, doesn't it? That's going to take at least a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The
they're,
House and Senate have to vote against
they're
it, too.
so desperate right
Yeah.
now. Not only Democrats, Republicans as well, to get him out of office. They're seriously talking about this, and we only got how many days till the inauguration?
14 now.
Less than a week,
14?
yeah,
They
week
want to
and
get
a
him
half.
out before
It's
then
20
because
days today.
they figure,
Biden takes
weeks,
off.
yeah.
you know, what the hell can he screw up in 2 weeks? And
He's still got the code.
A hell
he
of a
will
lot. He's
try.
got
He
the
will.
nuclear code.
He will not give up. He has got more up his sleeve. I guarantee.
Yeah,
you
he's
that.
got more shit
I
going
agree with
on.
you.
yeah.
In
He may
Nixon's
have
day,
a private army out there ready to attack.
Oh, yeah.
Just make a fake Twitter account and start it up again.
in Nixon's day, there were a group of prominent Nixon didn't want to pull the plug, but there were a group of prominent Republicans that finally went to him and said, "It's time. You've got to go."
Yeah.
There ain't that guy right now. You know, like there ain't nobody that Trump would listen to if they went to him and said, "Your time is up. it's time to move along.
They're all
ain't that
starting to
guy.
Listen to
resign.
Putin.
They're all resigning.
Oh, by the way, yes,
Right.
a bunch of them are
would
resigning
think that he
tonight,
would
Bunch
want-
quit today.
including Elizabeth. Is it Elizabeth Cho, who is
Mitch's
Mitch's
wife.
Mitch McTurtle's wife?
Yeah, he of the no chin.
Yeah, she quit tonight as the Secretary of Transportation.
Yeah.
Transportation,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You would think that Trump would want Pence to take power and pardon him in these last 2 weeks. You would think.
I'm beginning to think
Dumb
that
move.
I'm beginning to think Pence would.
But I don't think he'll step aside. I think to him that shows failure.
Well,
Yeah.
what's he going to
I
do
think-
about the ensuing legal actions against him?
Pence might tell him, "Kiss my ass."
Yeah.
I agree, Robert. That would be a great move.
What about on the 19th?
Yeah, yeah.
This
You know, it
is-
was Pence that called in a National Guard, not Trump.
Yes, yes.
Trump would not do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
originally it said Trump had done it, that the White House had done it, and then it turned out it was Pence. Yeah,
Pence did it.
I mean, I don't think they didn't need the National Guard, did they? By the time the National Guard got there, it was pretty well
Right.
over
But
with.
to flash his Bible, he brought out the fucking D-Day invasion in order to, spread tear gas
Yeah.
so that he could stand in front of the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is exactly what Trump wanted to happen.
Yeah, Trump was probably cackling with glee over all of this.
Well, I mean, but
He
he
was.
he
They
has
said
no
that,
he has no guilt about it. He doesn't care. To me, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The number one job of an American president, number one job, is to protect the American public.
Yes.
And in this case, he put them in danger. He was not protecting them, and he was getting them to do his bidding for his own personal ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that he was sitting in his office. There were reports coming from his office saying that he was gloating the fact that there was flags outside his office. Look at them. They're coming in. They're supporting me. Look at them.
They
got
love
my
me.
hats on. They got my shirts on.
Yeah.
They got the
They
flag.
all love
there.
me.
Look at them. They're supporting me.
Confederate
That's a
He was
sick
flag.
gloating in it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, and I was telling Alex this, maybe I think I was telling you this earlier.
Mhm.
I didn't watch much of this on the tube. I was driving most of the day, but I listened to it on the radio, and I started listening to his speech this morning, and not seeing this going on, but listening to it on the radio. Excuse me. Listening to it on the radio without the visuals, it brought me back to Hitler tapes and listening to his speech and what he was saying. And then I heard him say, "Let's walk up the street and let's do this." And I'm driving along, trying to stay in the lane, driving through San Jose, going, "He's not going to walk up there and lead these people up there, is he?" I'm going, "Holy crap!" And so I got up to my mom's place and I had to take her to the hospital. It was probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning out here. And I thought, what the hell's going to happen here in the next couple hours? So I took her to the hospital and all this, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I got done with her, and I drove out of the garage there, and I finally got service on my phone, and I turned on the radio, and all I hear is CNN saying, the Capitol's being breached, and everybody's loaded. I'm going, holy crap! I pulled over, loaded CNN and everything else on the phone, and I just went back to thinking, this is Hitler shit. He led a bunch of people. I heard them, fight for Trump, fight for Trump, fight for Trump, all these chants going on and everything else. And I'm going, this is surreal listening to this shit. And then coming out 2 hours later and hearing that the Capitol was, I almost cried listening to this shit.
Yeah, I did
And
too.
it was
Should have been
insane.
watching it.
It is
watching it afterwards,
yeah.
going, this is not real. And then I was texting with Josh too, and he told me that they were actually trying to get up to the roof to tear down the American flag to put up a Trump flag.
Yeah.
But they couldn't figure out their way up there. And I said, this is insane. What the hell? And then they start talking about I had CNN on my phone watching that, and I'm listening to Fox on the radio. So I'm
Driving down the street.
Ouch.
What a crazy, driving down the street, right?
That's dangerous.
Well, I wasn't really watching.
Was it an 18-wheeler or?
Not only that, it's confusing.
Jeff,
But-
what did you think about it when you were watching it today?
But yeah, okay.
Jeff, can you hear me? Jeff? Jeff, can you hear me?
Jeff.
Can Jeff hear me?
Turn your mic on, Jeff.
Mic is off.
He was talking to his wife.
Jeff, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I wanted to get your opinion on what was going on today. What was your take on it?
Well, I kind of turned on the radio at around 10:30, and I understand what's going on. That part of the people in the Senate are starting to walk to one side, and then the other people at the other side, and nothing's going on that's very interesting. And all of a sudden, these people are walking inside. And they're just like walking all over the place.
By the way, good news on this whole thing today. Definitely a super spreader event.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this, and I said, this is
Darwinism.
Trump 100%.
Huh?
I said, this is Trump 100%.
Oh yeah,
pull
no,
this off.
he initiated. He was somebody said he lit the fuse.
Yeah.
Best way to
Absolutely.
describe it.
So you pour gas on the fire.
Yeah. Well,
he brought the fuse.
He's
He
been
brought the
kindling this for
fuse.
months. Georgia the other night, he started the flame, and this morning he set it on 100%. I couldn't
Well, the
believe that.
problem
Caught
is
this
if you listen to his speeches, and I've done that, I listened to his last 5 or 6 speeches, and they've all been almost identical.
Yep.
Every single word, it's like a show for him.
Yeah.
He's gone to every one of his last 5 speeches have almost been identical.
But
the last
you know,
hour and a
they
half
say
been identical. He's pounding this shit into people's heads, and they took it all today, and he went, okay, now we're going to do it.
By the way,
And they
a
all were
lot of
there.
people are blaming this loss in Georgia on Trump.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was
sure.
political malpractice on his
Absolutely.
part. It really was. It was political malpractice. If I'm a true Republican, I got to point at Trump and say, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You lost
Big
us
time.
control of the
Yes.
Senate, you asshole.
Big
I
time.
heard one of the pundits today say that he may have been trying to get them to lose because he couldn't stand being the only one who would lose in Georgia.
It could very well be.
Could very well be too.
Yeah.
It's the way he works.
Well, I got to hand it to Loeffler. She lost. She goes in there and she was going to protest against the vote, and she pulled back her protest.
Fuck her.
Okay.
Fuck her.
I can't stand that woman.
I know I can't stand that woman either.
That was
So
just
But
By
nevertheless, I had to go. Hey, that's classy.
BFD. That wasn't classy at all. I don't think it was classy at all. She'd done this shit the whole time, and now she's gonna play games. Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible.
Well,
Say
yeah.
it was terrible 2 days ago.
Hey, listen, that was a very close race down in Georgia. Very, very, very close. I almost was worried that one of them was going to go
Could have said
into
it last night then.
What?
She could have said it last night. Said I wasn't going to object to it last night when she lost.
Yeah.
She said she was going to find a way to win last night.
Oh, did she? Really?
Yep.
Nate Silver had them both predicted, by the way, within a 1/10 of a percentage point.
Yeah, they said it was going to be right within.
He was on target.
And it was.
Well, no, it wasn't 1/10 of a percentage point. It was, I think.
No.
His
Nate's
prediction
prediction was about a 1/10 of a percentage point off what finished up. He
oh,
was
oh,
right
I see.
on.
Okay. All right.
His prediction.
Yeah. I had the feeling they were going to win because I think let's give a lot of credit to Stacey Abrams.
Oh, and how?
You know,
She gets a plum.
she went in there and she literally was walking people to the polls. I mean,
Yeah.
she just, she
Well, they
just
all did. Yeah, they did a lot of work down there just knocking on doors.
And this was very, very close and is unheard of in Georgia. I think they've had maybe a Democratic senator, but I don't think they ever had a rout like this. You know,
Not in recent times.
which leaves us with
Al Sharpton.
what?
Al Sharpton said, "Good job, Trump. You went down and campaigned. You pissed and moaned about yourself, and you know what you ended up with? You ended up with a black guy and a Jew."
You know, it's funny. I was watching this documentary on Rupert Murdoch, and the very last thing they run in the documentary to show the power of Fox, okay, is it's Fox and Friends, and it's early in the morning, and it's still dark outside. It's like in the winter, and they're doing their program. And they say, oh, look, there's a shot of the White House, and see that corner window with the lights on? That's Trump's bedroom, okay? And it said, Mr. President, if you're listening to us or watching us right now, turn the light on and off. And the next thing you see is the light goes on and off at the White House.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So funny. I think we both were pissing our pants after watching.
I think in Georgia, the black vote counted more than ever before.
Yep.
I think that the blacks got out there and voted.
Absolutely.
And voted, just overwhelmingly, and turned the tide.
Yeah.
Well, effectively, what won was Trump lost.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree there too.
Well, yes, Trump lost, but they had to go out and do a lot more campaigning to get the vote out. Otherwise, if they just left it like it was during the original election where Trump lost, I don't think it would have had this turnout like this. But Stacey Abrams...
They also had an overwhelming amount of new voters, too.
Yeah.
And I think the younger voters.
But that's because of Stacey Abrams.
Yeah,
she was
like
out there
in California.
Yeah. And she should get a prize for this. Like, I don't know.
She'll get a plum.
Secretary of something.
Something.
Did you hear Trump during the Georgia speech? He was just trashing her.
Oh yeah, she's corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
he knew what she was doing. He knew it was trouble.
Yeah. Well, what was I going to say? Oh boy.
When you get to my age, you get real forgetful.
It'll come back. What do you mean your age? What do you mean? If I get younger, I'll get more forgetful?
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yes.
Don't forget you're old.
No, but I mean, it's just it was a matter of Trump literally screwing over that election,
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy now that we have the Senate as well. I don't like both houses to be the same flavor, but in this day and age, with the divisiveness and the way the Republicans are voting, I say fuck them. We take all the marbles and we run the world for a while.
Just don't screw it up.
John Heilman made a great point on TV this morning.
Yeah.
He was saying that a lot of people generally prefer the White House one party, the Congress a different party, so that there's some check and balance involved. He said, but in this day and age, what with the pandemic and the need for urgent action, a lot of people might have jumped over and said, we need one party to be in charge, right, wrong, or indifferent. At least something will get done. We might not agree with it, but at least some action will take place.
Yeah, but do you think you would have said the same thing?
Would
you think they would have said the same thing if Trump was president? I don't think Trump never did anything. Okay? What did he do? Except, some things that irreversibly hurt the country. But
Built half a wall.
What did he do?
He built half a wall.
He built half the wall? He didn't build that much.
Not even half.
No, about 1% of the wall.
Very little. No fucking roads.
He was taking credit for part of the wall that was already there.
He hasn't built any wall, I heard.
Okay.
That's what I heard, but it's all smoking.
Right. Well, I like the part of it that fell down. That was fun.
Yeah. Over. Yeah.
But Trump's in. I think what Trump is panicked about is he's in for a whole mess of hurt now. There are going to be more suits being filed against him. he's going to wind up going bankrupt. He's going to wind up having to sell Trump Tower. I mean, it's all going to be downhill from there because the only thing that has shielded his life at this point was being president. They couldn't touch him, but they can now. You know, and he realizes that, and the longer he could stay in office, the longer he could put off the creditors and everything else.
I think Trump is going to be found guilty of a lot of these charges, and they're going to have trouble finding him, and they'll probably find him in the caddy shack at his golf course.
They're probably going to find him in Lithuania or someplace like that. Where's she from?
Russia.
Where's she from?
Russia.
No, but she's not from
Slovenia.
Russia. So where is she from?
Slovenia.
Slovenia. They moved to Slovenia. You know, open up a golf course there, or at least a putt-putt golf course.
Didn't Scotland didn't want him, right? Aren't they doing a golf course or something?
Yeah,
Scotland said don't come.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, but he already has a golf
No,
course.
they didn't want him physically to go over there.
Can't go
Can't
there.
Oh, well, they don't want him being down at Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
They said you can't use this as a residence. They said you could only use it for 30 days as a resident over a year.
So
Okay.
he voted illegally.
So, you know,
Right.
so you can't come to Mar-a-Lago, and he's in for just a world of hurt, and he's going to be amazed at how fast people forget him. They won't forget the bad things he did, but they'll forget him. All these people that were out there marching today, 2 years from now, they'll find another person to march behind.
Yeah.
Ollie.
Probably the guy will have to look a lot like Hitler, but you know, they will follow somebody else. But he's dead in the water. They're through with him. You know, this was their
But
last
remember
hurrah.
what happened with Nixon? He was dead.
Yeah.
And then he became president.
I mean, you can have people protest like crazy, and it doesn't matter the day after. You know.
Well, they need to clean up all the people that were following him too, like Cruz and all them other.
Well, this is what I was going to ask, okay? Because we have two people from Texas. And I'll blame them right now for Ted Cruz, okay? And let them defend themselves.
I never voted for him.
What a weasel.
Total weasel.
I mean, terrible, terrible person. That speech he gave today, my God. It was so horrible that the other senators were quoting him. When they got up
I
for
think
their
dog
time.
shit is worth more than Ted Cruz right now.
Well, here's the funny part about Ted Cruz. What did Trump have to say about Ted Cruz's father?
Yep.
That he
was
killed
involved with
Kennedy.
Kennedy.
That he
Yep.
killed Kennedy. That he was in on the
Ted
Kennedy
Cruz had to say
assassination.
about Trump in 2016. My God,
And
they
this
got
guy
tape and
is
tape and
such a
tape.
whore that he was out there defending Trump. He was one of Trump's big. He was going to go to the Supreme Court and be his lawyer.
Yeah.
You know.
He is
Everyone knows the cigarette smoking man killed Kennedy.
Exactly.
Come on.
But I mean, it's just amazing. Just amazing. You know.
MSNBC's got a crawl currently that says more Trump officials consider resigning, and we're waiting for what exactly?
Well, no, but it's funny that
Tomorrow.
Look, it's funny that they're deciding to resign because there are quite a few of them, including, as I said, Elizabeth Cho, who's McTurtle's wife, and there were a bunch of people in the press office who are quitting, and they were quitting because of this. What happened today?
Yeah.
You know, they could wait until he's no longer there. It's just a couple of weeks, all right? And then they know they haven't got a job, right? But they're quitting now to make a statement like we don't want any part of this, you know. And they're jumping ship like crazy, so they're not going to be held culpable for this.
I watched Newsmax today.
Oh yeah.
Spicer and Company. He looks really tall on TV.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, he looked tall.
Yeah,
they're criticizing it too. So at least they're not.
Well, I don't know if they were criticizing it that much, and then I heard them say that 2 people got killed or got shot, and it was only
I
one.
was hearing 4 too. So
You were
a
hearing
friend texted
4?
me saying 4. Yeah.
Here's
Friend
the
of shows.
terrible part about Newsmax. They're beating Fox.
Yeah.
And I watch Fox now, and it's kind of like I'm going, where's all that bite they used to have?
Yeah, it's moderate.
It's moderate. Yeah. I mean, today they had a bunch of Republican senators on who were coming on to say what Trump has done is horrible, and I just sent them a note saying you've got to, put out a tweet saying stop it. Well, he put out a tweet, but it just said, like don't destroy his property or don't go after the cops or whatever because they're on our side. But it wasn't. It wasn't. At no point was there that overwhelming. Hey guys, stop this. This isn't what I wanted you to do.
No, he said we got cheated, but stop, go home.
Well, it's like I was telling Phil.
Bullshit.
I was telling Phil. He said, well, there are all these people that he was taking the tack that Cruz does. There are these millions of people who felt that their vote was taken away from them, blah, 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 blah. And I said, why do they feel that way, Phil? The only reason they feel that way is because Trump told them that.
Right.
If Trump had said, hey, Biden, good race, you beat me fair and square, see you all at the golf course, okay? They wouldn't be out there demonstrating. Nobody would be saying it was robbed from him,
By the same token, Trump should have said, let's all wear masks, and it would have been different.
Yeah. 100,000 people would be alive.
And that was the simplest thing of any of the things he had to do.
Yep.
So easy.
All he had to do was wear a mask. All he had to do was saying, this is what's going to prevent this. That's all he had to do. I don't know why he didn't. But he had this egomaniacal idea that COVID was invented to get him. Really. He felt that the whole conspiracy was, was all a conspiracy. If they didn't test, we wouldn't have COVID, right? Yes, Ray.
So I don't understand how these other politicians were willing to risk their health, including people like Chris Christie, to not wear a mask because he's not wearing a mask. If Biden didn't wear
Chris
a mask,
Christie said that he made the big mistake, and I admire Chris Christie for his honesty in this. He said the reason I didn't wear a mask at that Rose Garden event is I felt that we were safe there, that the powers that be were doing everything possible to prevent us from being exposed to the virus. But everybody was tested. Everybody was tested, and so on, and that it was a safe place to be. He said, otherwise, I would have worn a mask.
Yeah, I heard him say.
And he said, I was wrong to assume that.
Well, he's a bad example, but I mean, all the other Republican people, like even today, there were before the riots started, a lot of the Republicans weren't wearing them, and Pelosi had to ask them several times to put their masks on.
Oh yeah, there was one guy talking for a while, and his mask kept falling. Oh my gosh!
Kept telling them it was the rule, and they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but if it's true, I mean,
the one where the guy's mask kept falling, Brian. I think that was actually his jock strap.
So before the hearing started, she had to ask them several times. I heard it on the radio. I was listening. Please, Republic people on that side of the aisle, please put on your mask. It's a rule.
Oh, really? Yep.
And then another guy came up and said, "Well, how are we supposed to object to this if we're put in the other room?" Like.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Look, all we're asking you to do is wear a mask, okay? What's the biggie?
And regarding the wall, I looked it up. So 15 miles of new wall has been built.
Woo!
Wow.
2,000-mile border.
And a lot of others have been repaired.
But he signed some of it.
So ABC just announced that 4 people were killed today, all Republicans.
That's the Associated Press was just saying. That's the friend who watches the show was saying that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? Yep. Really?
They said one person, and then they said 3. Associated Press, 4 people died. One man was shot by Capitol Police. The other 3 died from medical emergency. I don't know what the medical emergency is. So they are saying that other stuff is going on.
Well, so far it hasn't made it to Drudge yet, but they say that there's.
It's on ABC.
Associated Press.
And Associated Press. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a second. AP. Okay.
They're all Republicans. No big deal.
My friend Charles. My friend Charles on there.
I didn't want Apple. I said AP.com.
Apple Press.
Let me see here. Audio Precision.
Apple News.
Here we go. Well, let's just go Associated Press.
I have CNN where they do the notifications, and this before today it was pretty quiet for like a week or two.
Yeah.
Every day usually trumps something. It was nice and quiet for a while until today was blowing up. I was in a meeting. And I kept checking my phone.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything in Associated Press here online.
Alex, did you put out a statement on behalf of Antifa today?
Yeah, I said I took a dump on Hawley's lawn.
This guy Hawley really think he got a chance running for president in 2024?
Oh yeah, he thinks he's hot stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So here's NBC says 4 people killed.
Really?
Yeah.
By who?
And NBCWashington.com.
Well, Vernon Null has
doesn't say killed, says died.
Vernon
Null.
Null. Vernon
4
Null
people
has
killed. It says NBC Washington. Yeah.
Vernon Null has joined us. Vernon, what's your take on the day?
Not surprising. I'd like to jump on the Trump derangement syndrome train.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah. It is.
6 months ago, if any of us had suggested that something like this would happen, we'd be accused of Trump derangement syndrome.
Yep.
Well, it's happening.
Yep.
I felt that this was something like this was going to happen. Okay. But I didn't know what it was going to be exactly. I was worried that it was going to be an international incident. I didn't realize it was going to be insurrection at home.
Could
Stay
still
tuned.
Be. Yeah, still could be.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still he's out
bigger and better.
He's out to get even with America.
Yep.
I think people just don't want to have anything to do with that. Okay, so
he is one evil person.
Alan's got his hand up.
Okay, woman shot at Capitol dies. Trump supporters storm halls. This is all NBC.
It was NBC Washington. NBCWashington.com.
Oh, NBC.
Right on the front page.
NBCWashington.com.
Yeah, 3 medical emergencies. One woman shot by the police, and 3 medical emergencies.
Okay. So it doesn't say.
They realized they were Republicans? No.
A medical emergency.
There was an SUV truck that crashed and 4 people died.
Oh my.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Yeah, loved ones of 4 people who were killed after a SUV truck struck a utility pole gathered for vigils. What the fuck? Shit, I'm looking in the wrong year. Sorry. That was 2019. Never mind.
Pittsburgh.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, Alan.
Let's see.
Alan.
Yeah, okay. When I remember what I was going to say, I'll come back.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It might be fake news. This is from the Libya AFP. AFP in Libya. Libya's government of national accord says at least 4 civilians, including a child, were killed when... What the fuck? Never mind. I give up. I'm not good as Phil at this.
Yeah, I know. Phil is usually the one to do that
Phil
kind
when
of
you
thing.
need him.
Yeah. I read 4 people were killed. Where? Well, I don't know. It said so on AFP.
Must be that wallpaper.
Yeah, he's good. Oh, by the way, how is Tony? Do we know?
Well, Tony was messaging me today on Facebook, and his mother is losing her mind, and driving him crazy. She keeps asking about her brother who's been dead for years.
Oh, I guess.
She's gone into what is it when it's not Alzheimer's? It's dementia, which my mother had. She's got dementia from the COVID. And the doctor says, well, it may go away in time, or it may not, and then suggested that they put mom in a home, which I'm thinking that's a bad deal because then Tony hasn't got a job anymore. You know.
Right. He has to go back to the hat.
He hasn't gotten any sleep. He wishes if they want to help him, they would send somebody over to take care of her at nights. And I feel horrible for him, and he had it. He had the COVID, and his brother had the COVID, and his sister had the COVID. Now, three of them, the mother, he, and the brother all live in the same house, okay? But the sister is the one that came in and probably brought it, all right? Because they were kind of, by living at home, they were a bubble. And she lived on the outside and was a teacher and got it from a student or something like that. And she got it. Went home, wasn't feeling well. And next thing you know, mom's got it. So I feel sorry for Tony. I really do. And I wish him the best. And there's nothing you can say. This is the kind of thing that just gets people. And,
I found out today that I'm going to get COVIDian medication in a month.
COVIDian medication?
From the country of COVID?
Pfizer.
Yeah.
Well, they here in New York, we're in the 1B category, and they figure that within about a month or so, we'll be eligible to get the it's 75 and over, so Marjorie can get it too, and not have.
I'm supposed to be March or April.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week I'm supposed to go.
I see on the news here that they found 2 pipe bombs at the Republican National Committee headquarters today too.
Democratic committee too.
Why?
Oh, really?
Why would these people put a bomb in the Republican headquarters? That's what I couldn't figure out.
They don't like them either.
I mean, I just have to figure out, maybe this is the gang that couldn't shoot straight.
Did you see some of these people?
Yeah, they look like they said it looked like kids on a field trip, high schoolers on a field trip. They're just like walking around in the rotunda and stuff.
Are you expecting smarts from those people that you saw?
Yeah, I kind of would
back to me a little.
I would like to.
One guy had that podium. Did you see the picture? The one guy, he's got like that podium walking by. I said, that guy's through. Jeez, they had the guy with the makeup and the fur thing.
The horn.
They blasted him. They have his Facebook page and everything, and they've been just putting it out there. Oh my God.
He thought he was a Burning Man.
Well, no, I saw one guy who was standing on top of a Jeep or something with a flag, a Trump flag, and he was wearing a cape.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what is this, Super Trump or whatever?
Biden's up to 128 electoral votes. He's going to win. He is.
Wow.
With one guy with a Confederate flag, I think it was.
And let's for a moment say one thing positive about Pence, that he told Trump. He said, "I'm not going to do anything about it. There is nothing I can do about it. It's not my job to do anything about it, and I can't." And so then he, of course, started blasting Pence like, Pence a no good son of a bitch, whatever. But even Pence got to the point where he couldn't put up with it any longer, And they all have their own reputations to have after this is over with. So that's why they're bailing out like crazy. And they should.
Is Trump going to be busy tonight? Oh, he can't tweet tonight. That's right. No. He can't tweet McConnell. He can't tweet. He can't tweet any of those guys. He can't blast them. What's he going to do?
He can't
send emails to everybody.
He can't.
Why can't he open a fake account?
He can't Instagram. He can't do any of that.
They cut that. They turned off his YouTube account too.
Yeah, they turned off his YouTube as well. I heard it was Facebook and Instagram, which is both Facebook, and then Twitter.
Well, don't believe me. I get everything wrong.
Vernon.
My suggestion for Mike Pence, if he wants to restore his reputation, is to invoke the 25th Amendment tonight.
Mercy.
Good luck.
If he did that tonight, then Trump could be out of the White House tomorrow.
Yep.
Senate has to vote 2/3.
2/3, yeah, that's a
majority.
Same thing for the House. It's got to be 2/3. Now majority.
Well, it was 93-6 not to uphold the objection. So what do you think they'll do?
I can't see it.
No, neither can I. I'm with Robert.
No.
Wow.
At least he would make the effort, though.
I think they should
Mike Pence
try
would make
just
the
to have
effort.
that
I
be
think his
abstained.
political stock would go up.
All I know is
agree
that
on
what happened today was absolutely Trump's fault, and what he caused was just unconscionable, just unconscionable, and all for the betterment of his own ego. That's the problem.
His whole presidency's been that way.
Well, yes, but this is taking it to the next step. Okay. And
he risked the lives of all of those rioters.
I would bet that the Secret Service is going to have extra people out when Biden gets inaugurated, so nobody comes up there with a rifle.
What I would do if I were Biden, I would just have a simple inauguration indoors somewhere with somebody giving the oath of office. I just don't think they should do it outside in the stands, that whole thing, because the stands are probably trashed anyway and have to be fixed before they can do it. And I just think it's what can we say? I mean,
and because of the social distancing too, Yeah.
Well, they're accounting for that. Okay, they weren't going to invite as many people.
They could do it in the Oval Office. They could remove Trump in handcuffs, and they could bring
or
Pence in and swear him in.
Move it to somewhere like just the Senate chamber. Hold it there.
There you go.
And basement like a cheap wedding.
But apparently you can't even make the Senate chamber safe. So I mean, what the hell?
How about the Supreme Court? Since Roberts will be the one doing the swearing in.
For the bunker. The White House bunker.
Well, who was it? I'm trying to remember. The president, they had to, I think it was Obama, they had to do a second inauguration or something because they didn't get
They just recited the words a second time because Roberts screwed them up the first time.
Yeah, but who was it?
Is that true?
Who was that? Was it Obama?
Obama.
Yeah.
His second term. I believe it was his second term one.
Yeah, they did it. They did the inauguration. The next day, they went to Robert's chambers and they redid it because he read the words all wrong.
One job to do.
Huh?
Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I never heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I just found it. It actually is for dead. Sorry, I hate to say that, but this is an article that's 14 minutes long. Old.
14 minutes old,
14
and
minutes
it's
old.
what? Where do you find it? NBC? I'll look at it afterwards.
Radio.com on MSN.com, and then also it's just on a bunch of small stations because it's so new.
Did they say what the medical emergencies were?
No.
Besides a car crash?
No, that was from 2019.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll get it right. We'll get it right before tomorrow night's show, folks. We'll figure out how many people
We'll have it all worked out.
are ill.
Yeah.
Well, this has certainly been a day to remember, and for anybody who thought 2021 couldn't be as bad as 2020,
Stay tuned.
gotcha. Stay tuned. It could get worse, at least from the next. How many days do we have left now?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
What is it? A Wednesday or is it a Thursday? Wednesday.
Wednesday, 20. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. He can destroy this entire country.
Noon.
Yeah.
I've got the
12
nuclear
noon.
football.
Yeah, he's got the nuclear football. They're not going to hike it to him. I'll tell you that right now. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you to Alan. Thank you to Charlie. And thank you to Jeff. And thank you to Scott. Always good to see Scott here. Robert, good to see you. Of course, Kevin, good to have you here. Ray, wonderful. Brian, good. And Vernon Nunn, we love seeing you whenever you show up.
Everybody's waving.
Anyway, everybody wave a goodbye, and I'll wave back at you, and we'll just finish it off here. Thank you. Bye. There they go. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me get rid of them unceremoniously here. And next is going to be Jack Bishop. He's going to be doing the intersection. He's going to be taking your calls on Skype at Gabnet Live. I'll be back again tomorrow night. Right here. Yeah, right here. Same place, same time, same station in life. What is it? 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time, or Standard Time. I'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, yeah, you know what. Of course, tell her I love her. Bye, everybody. Oh, and be safe out there and wear a mask.